My name is Jeff Renew. I am the Armament Center Historian at Picatinny Arsenal, New Jersey. This is a special Veterans Day presentation for the Picatinny Arsenal Historical Society, conducted virtually due to COVID-19 restrictions. Usually, this would be presented live during a regular Historical Society meeting the fourth Wednesday of every month at the Rockaway Municipal Building. Today, I bring you Deane Conklin, a veteran portrait from the archives of Picatinny Arsenal. The contents of the Picatinny Arsenal Historian Archive continue to produce a wealth of information. It is fitting that upon the centennial of Armistice in 2018, the career of a remarkable individual emerged. The entirety of Major Deane Conklin's military career spanned both world wars, the contents of which reside in a box tucked away in an upright cabinet. The portrait of an Army major stared up at me as I opened the box. He was wearing a World War II era uniform, but the medals and ribbons on the perimeter of the frame told their own story. A World War I Victory Medal, an Army of Occupation of Germany Medal, a New York State 1917 to 1919 Service Medal, the Purple Heart. It was apparent that there was a story waiting to be told. Deane Conklin was born on February 24, 1894, in New York City, to Evelyn and Henry Conklin. Deane was his mother's maiden name. Henry was a sergeant in Company A, 22nd Volunteer Infantry during the Spanish-American War. The document on the right is the grave marker application for Henry. The document on the left is a passport application submitted in 1919 after Deane returned home from France. Deane worked for the National Bank of Commerce until enlisting in the Army September of 1917. War was declared April of 1917. Deane enlisted in the Army in September 20th, 1917 in New York City, as seen in the enlistment record on the left-hand side. He was then promoted to corporal in November of 1917. Another promotion to sergeant followed in March of 1918. The document to the right is Deane's honorable discharge in July of 1918. He was discharged in order to accept a commission as a second lieutenant. Congress legislated the War Risk Insurance Act in September of 1914 to insure ships and individuals in the event of loss or injury related to World War I. This war risk insurance policy was taken out upon Deane's enlistment, dated 1st November 1917. The policy was taken for $10,000 in the event of death or permanent disability, to be paid in monthly installments of $57.50 to his mother Evelyn. Sergeant Conklin stands vigil in the photo on the right-hand side. Deane departed for France in April of 1918 as part of the American Expeditionary Force. He served with the 305th Field Artillery, 161st Infantry with 41st Division. He was commissioned second lieutenant on July 1st, 1918, documented on the right. This portrait of Lieutenant Conklin was taken in France after his commission, just before going up to the front. Amongst Lieutenant Conklin's papers was a hand-drawn map of the vicinity of Martincourt and Beaumont, headquarters area south of Verdun. The black ink lines are the roads connecting the towns and the Meuse River. Penciled lines are the trench works. This was the site of intense fighting during the Somme campaign. During 1916, two battles were fought between the British and the Germans in July and November on these same grounds. Lieutenant Conklin received Special Orders Number 273 on the 3rd of October 1918. He was relieved of duty with the 161st Infantry and ordered to report without delay to the headquarters of the 4th Infantry Division, along with 5 other lieutenants. Lieutenant Conklin took command of a platoon in A Company, 47th Infantry. This company was to conduct an assault as part of the Meuse-Argonne Offensive, which was the last major operation of the First World War. The offensive lasted from late September until armistice on the 11th of November, 1918. These maps from Lieutenant Conklin's files show the progression of the Meuse-Argonne offensive. The map on the left shows the changes in position of the front lines from September to November of 1918. The plan was to pivot northeast with Verdun as the hingepin and push the Germans back to the Meuse River. From the 4th to the 12th of October, the 4th Division initiated a series of attacks along the German line and captured the Bois de Fay, Bois de Mallemont, Bois de Puy-de-Faux, and the western part of the Bois de Forêt. Elements of the 4th Division continued to conduct patrolling missions north of Brieul along the Meuse River from the 14th to the 18th of October. According to the Purple Heart citation in the archive, Lieutenant Conklin was wounded during one of these patrols on the 15th of October, 1918. Deane Conklin penciled in an arrow on the right-hand map, pointing to the city of Brieul. According to the left-hand map, the Americans forced a bulge in the German lines northwest of Brieul on the 15th of October, the day Lieutenant Conklin was wounded. The Purple Heart was not presented to Deane Conklin until 1933, but this citation lists October 15, 1918, as the date he was wounded. News traveled slowly in 1918, and it wasn't until December that the Buffalo Evening News reported that he was severely wounded. An artifact in the archive tells of an unfortunate clerical mistake in the interim. A letter sent from home on August 12th, addressed to First Sergeant D.L. Conklin, was stamped "Deceased, Statistical Division," and returned to sender on November 12th, the day after armistice. I can only speculate how terrifying it must have been to receive the returned "Deceased" stamped letter at home. A series of postcards from Lieutenant Conklin to his younger brother Reginald, addressed to Reg, follow for the next few months to reassure the family that he was in fact alive and well. The first set of postcards to Reg were sent from Nice on the southern coast of France on 10 November 1918. The written message on the back states, "I surely made no mistake when I selected this place for my sick leave. This is the most delightful place in all of the world. I bet New York City is running wild this day, and believe me, you should see this place. Brother Deane." News of the planned 11 November armistice reached New York on the 7th, prompting a ticker tape celebration a few days early. An interesting note about the photo on the postcard: when was the last time you took a stroll on the beach in a three-piece suit or a formal dress? It seems to be the norm in 1918 France. December of 1918 was an eventful month for Lieutenant Conklin, spending a week in Paris in transit from Nice back to the hospital in Allery. The timing was advantageous, as a series of postcards sent back home to Reg document the experience of seeing President Wilson's visit to France. December 20th, 18. I was in Paris most of the week, and it was possible for me to see all of this historic event. It was really wonderful the manner the French people received the president, and the real American smile won the day. Deane goes on to write, "Why, in the evening, the French girls, or as a matter of fact all week, the French girls would run up and grab and throw their arms around an American. Laugh and smile as only the French know how, and I suppose you read in all the home papers. I should buy a few French magazines on my next trip. They give you the best idea of the life and the French good time. Brother Deane." This tax-exempt coupon booklet was tucked into an envelope in Lieutenant Conklin's files. The cover states that the coupons provide enlisted men and officers in uniform limited exemption from luxury tax while in France. They were signed by the bearer and were not transferable. Any unused coupons were to be turned in 4 months after they were issued, and a new booklet would replace them. After Paris, Deane was back at the convalescent hospital at Base Hospital 56 in Allery, France. This photo shows rows of beds in the interior of the hospital and some of the attending nurses. The rear of the photo has the name Helen McGrath written in pencil. I can only speculate that this is the name of one of the nurses pictured here that attended to Lieutenant Conklin's recovery. Lieutenant Conklin found himself back in Allery just in time for Christmas. Fortunate for us, a century later, that our good lieutenant saved the menu for Christmas dinner. In a written note, "Don't you think this so dang nice for a poor convalescent in the hospital with the AEF? Believe me, I know. With the AEF convalescent camp, Allery, France, December 25th, 1918. Deane." Christmas dinner consisted of cream of pea soup, fruit salad, and fish fritters. As a main course, turkey with chestnut dressing with turnips, cream of corn, and mashed potatoes. Dessert was a choice of chocolate cream pie, nuts, cake, and ice cream. Beverages included fruit punch, coffee, tea, and after-dinner creme de menthe. Christmas was a pleasant one, with the war now over. The wreath and ribbon at the top left corner of the menu were hand-painted in watercolor. Deane sent another postcard to Reg in January of 1919. Sent from the base hospital, it bears the logo of the Red Cross and a portrait of General Pershing. The selection of postcards seems to be much more limited than in tourist attractions like Nice or Paris. Deane writes that he was delighted to receive a letter from Reg, sent on the 27th of September 1918, and received January 24th, 1919. Seems there is quite a bit of a lag in early 20th century overseas mail delivery service. Not quite like sending emails. Deane states, "Reg, I have no news other than I am here and awaiting orders. And please know that I am in the best of health, very best of health. I have everything I need in the way of equipment, and in short, am well fixed. I shall move soon, and that will mean a change with plenty to write about. Study hard and make good. It may be possible for me to spend the next summer with you and Mother. Brother Deane." Special Orders 38 came through on February 11th, 1919. They reassigned Lieutenant Conklin to the 89th Division, Supply Company, 335th Infantry. He was resuming duty as part of the Army of Occupation. The accompanying photo is of the officers awaiting orders along with Deane at the Combat Officers Replacement Depot in Gondricourt. Deane's next assignment in Trier, Germany would be unconventional. Part of the unique set of papers included in Lieutenant Conklin's belongings is a set of instructions he prepared for the sergeant in charge of stables. The next month of service put Lieutenant Conklin in charge of the 355th Infantry's section of the 89th Division's equestrian team. He was responsible for ensuring the team had the resources they needed to prepare for the 7th Army Corps Horse Show in April 1919. The results of the show saw several members of the 355th Infantry team place. Alfred E. Simpson took third place in the two-line water cart event. C.H. Holmes took first place, and William Short took third in the two-line ration cart event. Finally, W.S. Norman placed second in the four-line fourgon. Now in April 1919, a year in Europe being part of the Army of Occupation seems to have taken a toll on morale. Lieutenant Conklin had not taken leave in a year while in France. He was due to transfer back to the 89th Division, now at Koblenz. Deane reasoned that the transition back was a perfect time to take leave in Paris, to tend to business and to collect baggage, of course. These two postcards from Conklin's files are of two Parisian train stations, the Gare d'Orsay and the Gare Saint-Lazare. The colorful art renditions of Koblenz tourist attractions aren't enough to keep Deane from wanting to be home. Let's trust and hope I do return soon, for surely I am homesick for 484, and you all, and the day cannot arrive any too soon. Love to all, Brother Deane. These words, written near the bottom of the picture book, relay the frustration in waiting for the trip to return home to the United States. Fortunately for Deane, he did not have to wait very long. A letter home to his mother, written on 14 May in Brest, France, states that he has left Germany on May 9th on a train consisting of 48 cars and 2 engines. He expected to arrive at port and leave here on Friday on the SS Leviathan. Deane enthusiastically writes that he will probably arrive home before the letter. The Leviathan arrived in Hoboken, New Jersey on the 22nd of May, 1919. A meal card for the officers' mess hall aboard the Leviathan is amongst the materials in the archive. Deane was assigned to Mess B, which was the later dining time. There was a 5-minute window for the officers to be seated. As the reverse of the card states, officers arriving after the time specified will not be served. Lieutenant Conklin was transferred to Camp Upton, New York on May 26, 1919, where he awaited to be discharged from the American Expeditionary Force. He submitted Form 151 CPB-GS on June 18, 1919, requesting a commission in the regular Army. His duty station is listed as the headquarters Camp Upton, Long Island. His choice of branch for the regular Army is the infantry. Deane's first order of business after requesting commission was a request to be transferred to the port of embarkation in Hoboken, to be assigned to duty as an assistant to the port finance officer. This would bring him much closer to home and his family in New York. He cites experience in the National Bank of Commerce in New York prior to the war as justification for the transfer to the financial service. The letter on the right is written the day before he is discharged from Camp Upton. Deane writes to his mother that his discharge and application for the regular Army is filed, and to expect him home for dinner the evening of June 25th. The document on the left is the honorable discharge of 2nd Lieutenant Deane L. Conklin from Camp Upton, dated 25 June 1919. The document on the right is the commission of 2nd Lieutenant Deane L. Conklin to the United States Army Officers Reserve Corps on the following day. Deane Conklin's World War I military record states that he sailed from the United States with the AEF in April of 1918. He sailed back from overseas to the United States on 19 May 1919, leading to the approval to wear 2 gold overseas chevrons. He served in the Meuse-Argonne battle under Special Orders No. 273 and was wounded on October 15, 1918. He was authorized to wear the Silver Victory Button and World War I Victory Medal with the Meuse-Argonne and Defensive Sector. The Purple Heart for wounds received on 15 October was not awarded until 1933. The document on the right is a request for reimbursement for the loss of personal property in France, October 1918, during the time frame that he was wounded. The total amount awarded by the Treasury Department was $136. Deane married his wife Beatrice in June of 1919, shortly after returning from Camp Upton. This wedding announcement from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette states that their romance began in the East. Their honeymoon was to follow in Hawaii, where Lieutenant Conklin was reporting for duty. The Conklin family eventually settled in Englewood, New Jersey. The social news of Englewood section of the record seems to have taken a particular interest in the Conklins during the 1930s, especially in their vacationing in Pennsylvania. Deane Conklin served with Company L, 7th Regiment New York National Guard from 1922 until 1937. The commission pictured on the left documents his promotion to first lieutenant in 1932. In civilian life, Deane accepted a position in New York financial and banking, eventually becoming the vice president of the Guardian Safe Deposit Company. 1938 was a tragic year for the Conklins, as the Pittsburgh Press reports the death of Beatrice Conklin by heart attack. She was only 41 years old. The Conklin family then consisted of Deane and his 5 children. The 1940 census from Englewood, New Jersey, lists the children: Marjorie, 19, Dorothy, 18, Deane Jr., 15, Beatrice, 12, and Virginia, 8. Deane remarried 3 years later in February of 1941. The headline here states, Deane Conklin marries Edith Edmonds in New York City. The ceremony was small, attended by the bride's parents and sister, Deane's mother Evelyn, his daughter Marjorie, and his brother Reginald. Edith was originally from Boonton, New Jersey. They were married for the rest of Deane's life. Early in 1941, Deane advanced in his banking career to be the vice president of the Guardian Safe Deposit Company and the director of the Knickerbocker Federal Savings and Loan. When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and the United States entered the Second World War, Deane Conklin was 47 years old. This didn't stop him. He enlisted with Company D, 1st Battalion, New Jersey State Guard, and was discharged as a corporal in January of 1943. He was once again commissioned as a second lieutenant and promoted to first lieutenant on the 23rd of July, 1943. The Bergen Record reported, First Lieutenant Conklin assumed command of the Dumont Armory in August of 1943 and immediately set to the task of recruiting capable personnel to man the armory. Patriotism of the home front has never been proven lax, but there is now a need for a large number of trained personnel in the ranks of the Guardsmen. Your state Guardsmen are ready in time of need to protect your families, homes, and property. The document on the left shows that Lieutenant Conklin attended the Tactical School in Hackettstown, New Jersey during October of 1943. The school was located at the current site of Heath Village on Schooley's Mountain Road. The school was subordinate to the 2nd Service Command, based on Governor's Island, New York, which covered all of New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. The portrait on the right shows all of the officers that were in Lieutenant Conklin's class. Conklin is made a captain. In January 1944, the Bergen Record once again reported a promotion for Deane Conklin. Captain Conklin continued the recruitment drive. He requested volunteers to enlist for a period of 1 year and was open to men from 17 to 52 years old that had not received an induction notice. Training consisted of 2 hours every Tuesday evening on the use of submachine guns and shotguns, chemical warfare, and infantry drill. The commission, pictured here on the right, is one of the documents in Deane Conklin's files in the Picatinny Archive. An inspection of Company D was conducted in March of 1944, as reported by the Bergen Record. The document on the right is a record of commendation for an inspection conducted on the 20th of February 1945, which warranted the praise of Major General John F. Williams, acting chief of the National Guard Bureau. It is gratifying to note this excellent condition of administration and training, and I heartily congratulate those responsible for this outstanding achievement in these difficult times. Captain Conklin extended his thanks to the members of Company D, 1st Battalion, 10th Regiment. Your commanding officer wishes to express to you his sincere appreciation for the splendid cooperation evidenced during our inspection. Without your help, this commendation could not have been possible. A final promotion was granted 10 December 1945, per Deane's commission on the right-hand document. The photo on the left accompanies the commission in the archive. A message written in ink on the bottom right corner of the photo states, "With best wishes to Major Deane L. Conklin, L. Emery Boyden, Captain Company A, 7th Regiment, 7 June 1945. The announcement of promotion evidently was made during the war and preceded the official commission. The promotion to major brought a new position as commander of the 1st Battalion State Guard of Teaneck, New Jersey. The Bergen Record reports of a 1946 recruitment drive to bring the battalion to its full peacetime strength. The Army downsized considerably with the discharge of most of the wartime soldiers. The State Guard, ironically, sought to augment its numbers while the regular Army reduced. Nearly 30 years after the fact, the War Department authorized the issue of the World War I Army of Occupation of Germany Medal to Deane Conklin, pictured on the right-hand document. Retirement from the Army was on 29th of June 1948, according to the certificate of retirement pictured here. Deane remained active in training, as seen here in the September 1955 issue of the Record. Conklin assumes duties as Cub Pack 22 leader at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in his hometown of Englewood. In 1962, the state of New York awarded Lieutenant Conklin the Conspicuous Service Cross for receiving citation from the headquarters of a brigade or higher military unit, or shall have received the Purple Heart since the 6th day of April, 1917. Dr. Reginald Conklin passed away December 7, 1964. The boy that received postcards from his big brother at the front became a specialist of internal medicine in New York City. He committed suicide in his office at 63 years of age while talking to his wife on the telephone. His wife reported that he had been despondent. Deane and Edith Conklin moved to Andover Township after living in Englewood for 39 years. Deane continued his ties to his service during the World Wars as a member of the 7th Regiment Post 107 of the American Legion. Deane passed away in November of 1979 at 85 years of age at the Barnhill Convalescent Center in Newton, New Jersey. At the time of his death, Deane was survived by his wife Edith, his 4 daughters, his son, 16 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. Searching for Edith's obituary has not yielded any information, but if she is surviving, Mrs. Conklin would be well into her 100s. We'll conclude with a bit about Deane's descendants from the information that I was able to from some of the information I found during my research. Deane Jr. met his wife while serving in the Marine Corps. Mary was part of the Marine Corps Women's Reserve and a teacher in civilian life. They were both stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, and married in June of 1945. Deane Jr. was a technical sergeant serving with the 1st Marine Division, a veteran of Midway, Wake Island, Guadalcanal, and Bougainville. On the right is an article from the Bergen Record in 1969. Barbara Ann Conklin, Deane Jr., and Mary's daughter, earned an Associate's in Arts at Green Mountain College, Vermont, in 1969. They lived in Tenafly, New Jersey, but it is also recorded in Deane Sr.'s obituary that as of 1979 they were living in Maryland. The article on the right from the 2nd November of 1940 Bergen Record reports that Dorothy Conklin was chosen as leader of the Jane Addams House at the New Jersey College for Women, now Douglas College, in New Brunswick. The article states that she was a pre-medical student and participated in the NJC swimming marathon. She later graduated with a degree in Romance languages. After graduating, she worked at the Point Pleasant Beach Hospital as a cardiac technician and was a hospice volunteer. Dorothy married Horace Crane, and they had 2 sons, 2 daughters, and 13 grandchildren. Dorothy passed away in March 1999 at the age of 77, having lived in Point Pleasant for 45 years. Her list of survivors includes her stepmother, Edith Conklin. Marjorie married Francis Clements and lived in Englewood for the rest of her life. They had 2 daughters, a son, and 6 grandchildren. Her son Eugene and his family also lived in Englewood. She passed away in August of 1999. Her memorial service was held at St. Paul's Episcopal, where her father had been a scoutmaster. While we have not located an obituary for Deane Jr., Marjorie states that her brother preceded her in death. Research also uncovered a possible, yet unverified as of this date, connection between the Conklin family and Picatinny Arsenal. A group of homes used to stand near the main gate of Picatinny Arsenal, situated off of Parker Road and present-day Route 15. This area was known as Spicertown, for the family that owned the property until December of 1941. The land was acquired at that time by the government 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor in order to increase security measures during the Second World War. The sketch depicted here shows how Spicertown would have looked early in the 20th century, before World War II. 2 houses stand at the right edge of the sketch, near the present-day location of the Picatinny Visitor Center. These were the homes of 2 sisters, Ruth and Reba Spicer. Ruth married a man named Wallace Conklin, and they lived in the home pictured on the diagram. The last chronological record in our archive shows that Deane and his wife Edith were residents of Newton, New Jersey when he died in 1979. There's no indication of how his effects came into our possession in the historical archive of Picatinny Arsenal. What is evident, a century after his service in the First World War, is his commitment to serving this country in 2 world wars in a career spanning most of his adult life. His story is worth telling and remembering on this anniversary of the armistice. This concludes our presentation. I thank you for taking the time to learn about Deane Conklin's service and commemorate it on this Veterans Day, the anniversary of the armistice of the First World War. I am Jeff Renew, the Armament Center historian at Picatinny Arsenal, presenting on behalf of the Picatinny Arsenal Historical Society. Picatinny Arsenal Historical Society is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation of the history of Picatinny Arsenal in New Jersey. We are committed to educating the general public about the contributions of the Arsenal and its workforce to the defense of the United States of America. Meetings are held regularly the fourth Wednesday of every month at the Rockaway Municipal Building, temporarily suspended due to COVID-19. Follow us on Facebook for status updates and when the next live presentation will be. Thank you.